Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another stream where we're going to be talking about the thing that we all love the most, competitive 40K. And I really hope that everybody has been having a wonderful week. At this moment, I am not able to sleep because I'm still in the middle of dealing with work being a shithead. And so my loss is your gain. If I can't sleep, I may as well do something goddamn productive. So, hello, everybody. Opening up very strong. Moody, welcome to Shaswee on YouTube. Really appreciate it, buddy. Enjoy the railgun. About time I throw some money your way, so I appreciate it, man. I really do. Welcome to everybody else who's joining us, either live or as a VOD. And can I just say, opening with this, I am like super in love with our intro music. Like if you're somebody who's watching this on YouTube and you just watch the VOD from the point that, like, you know, you scrub the video to the point where you see the screen change and you got me come up, I highly encourage you to actually listen to that banger of a tune. It always makes me feel like really excited to start the stream. I actually get a little bit of like anticipation or whatever. But anyway, enough sucking the dick of my own stuff. We are here to talk about one thing and one thing only, and that is the Pariah Nexus mission cards. Now I have a little digital set here for whatever you want to call that. And I figured it'd be worthwhile going through and looking at every single one of these cards. Now, I've seen bits and pieces, but because of the distraction that this week has been, I haven't been able to properly deep dive, and I thought it would be cool to actually go through and get some proper reactions to things with you guys live, because one of the things that I find makes or breaks a good tournament player or competitive player or whatever else is being able to absorb new information, take it in, and then look at where your meta is about to go based on that, or what things are going to be strong, how it's going to affect your list building, and all that sort of stuff. So obviously we'll have my Tower aficionados that are in the chat, which are here specifically for how it's going to affect us on that, and we will touch on that quite heavily. But this goes for any army that you might be playing. Obviously, I've been putting in time on Sisters and Wolves, and I keep up with my skills on Votann and Grey Knights, and having to play quite broadly. Knowing what the meta is going to do will actually sometimes inform the choices that you will make across different armies, or anticipate the choices that other people will make to play against you in a tournament setting, be it singles or teams. So let's get into it. We'll start with deployments. Deployments, we've got Dawn of War, we've got Hammer and Anvil. Now, can I just say, GW, massive W. Massive W, putting measurements from the edge of the table. This is something that, like, when I first started out playing 40K, you try and measure from like center point and go like 14 this way and then 12 this way and blah, blah, blah. But this is it's not a perfect point to measure from, because this can bump, this can move, this can whatever. But if you've got an edge of a table, which is it is a hard value, like the edge of your gaming mat is a hard value that no matter where the mat moves, the position of where the objective or whatever else will move relative to wherever that mat moved, because it's part of the same thing. So learning too across my competitive journey, measure from the edge of the gaming mat to where we needed to go, and being able to calculate conversions of, all right, if I have to go 16 in and 14 down, then that's blah and blah. When I learned to do that, setting up in a tournament actually got like way faster. So this one, G-dub. This is a G-dub. We love G-dubs. Actually, let's make this a little bit bigger for everybody. Then you kill the squad to 20 plus units will weed out the dickheads fast, since you can cheat by paying for a 20-man squad but not take the full amount to avoid this mission. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Moody, because that was getting thrown around quite a bit in the Discord, which, by the way, now that you're Shaswee team, make sure you look for the Discord join link that's posted in the members only area within YouTube. But we were having a chat about this, and I don't actually think that that's cheating or cheesing. And for the reason that, like, obviously there are some armies that won't care about this, but like Kroot, for example, you can't attach 2 characters if you don't have a starting strength of 20 Kroot. Same for Orcs, and the success that they've been seeing with Green Tide has been putting in 2 characters. And if you don't do that, you are losing a lot of the power that that unit might actually have. And giving up one of those things is not actually something that you would want to do for the sake of the extra 5 points. And I feel like this runs down, and we're immediately beelining everybody, but you know what? You watch my content. You know what you're fucking here for. We beeline like every 2 seconds. But anyway, I feel like this is the bring it down, assassinate problem that Tau deals with all the time. And that is that I never struggled with somebody taking fixed bring it down, assassinate against me, because in them doing that, there is actually counterplay when somebody declares the thing that they're going to be trying to do against you. Now, if you would like to learn, you know, what that strategy is and how to play into it, grab a coaching session. But no, seriously, the way that you deal with that is that you just dominate primary. You go, all right, I'm not going to stop you from maxing it. So, or maybe I'm going to hold all my characters back, not attach them to units, because you've got to tell me when you're taking that, because you pick your secondaries, or either tactical or your 2 fixed, before you get to the deep strike character attachment step, meaning that I don't have to attach my Fireblades. I don't have to put Farsight with a unit. I don't have to do any of that. And they can sit in strategic reserve for 3 turns and then come onto my side of the board, and you don't get to interact with them. So you max bring it down. You get basically a 0 for your other secondary, and I'm just going to swarm the primary points, knowing that you're going to max out. So there is counterplay in somebody giving up that knowledge, and I've said it a lot of times. I don't like giving my opponent efficacy over how I score unless there is no way for them to deny me the scoring that I'm going for. And this runs down a similar thing. So we'll cover that card in a lot of detail when we get to it. But I don't think it's the silver bullet that a lot of people are kind of giving it credit for. Will it be strong? Yes. Yes, absolutely it will. Into a lot of matchups. Is it the be-all, end-all? No, I don't think so. Just the same way that, you know, people taking Bring It Down, Assassinate, the only player that ever won a game by doing that against me was another Tau player that I keep yo-yoing with on the ITC rankings for Australia. Like literally the only person who's ever taken a win off me from doing that. So if played correctly, I don't think it's the silver bullet that people think it is. But anyway, Hammer and Anvil, Dawn of War. Dawn of War, we're probably still not going to see this run a ton in like teams environments. I know WTC does not like this layout, and it kind of makes sense. This layout basically guarantees turn 1 charges. It is very, very close. There's a lot of no man's land space. It is interesting, and I do like Dawn of War. But also, I kind of don't like Dawn of War. It's a weird love-hate that I have with it. Hammer and Anvil, love this one. Gives you a lot of space on the map. There's some very, very good terrain orientations. It can create some very, very competitive layouts. I do like it. I like the Search and Destroy is still in, especially because my Space Wolves fucking love it, because I can put Wolf in here and guaranteed turn 1 charge you over here, and just send a Thunderwolf Cav unit up the center, and there's basically nothing that you can do about it. Crucible of Battle. Now, this one is an interesting one because I believe previously we were going from middle center to the corner. This one, they've actually opted for basically to flip that orientation, give you less room in your deployment zone, but opening up more space in no man's land, which I think is a really, really good play, because this, in its previous iteration, was just basically Dawn of War, but slanted. So I actually do like the direction that they've headed with this. I'm going to get a bunch of test games in on this to, sort of work out that I actually really, really do like it. But one thing I forgot to do. Let's get some mood beats in here. Let's go you. Let's go you. Nothing like a little bit of cool lo-fi hanging over in the background. Am I right? I don't actually know that it's going to be that, but who knows it? Who cares? All right, let's take that right down. Little bit of mood music. Set the tone. Y'all know how it feels. All right, so I'd like Crucible of Battle. Now, we've got Sweeping Engagement, which has been fundamentally changed to these boxes. Now, this is something that I'm a little bit familiar with from learning AOS and some of the very, very kooky layouts that they have, but they do work. They do work. There's a lot that we need to consider in this, in that if you do go straight up the middle, there is a lot of room for turn 1 charges. There's a lot of room for us to be able to, because this is home field objectives, Piranhas getting a turn 1 steal your opponent's home field objective is absolutely doable. But then you've got, your no man's land kind of staggered each way. So there's these weird diagonals that will open up a lot of play and make it so that I think, based on some of the things that I've seen, I'm really going to be doubling down into things like infiltrators and scouts and that sort of stuff. And also, I think this benefits us as Tau quite heavily, because I think the parking lot situation likely gets a lot easier on a deployment like this, because you've got a lot of room for your vehicles and everything else, and then you can just push up here to contest this objective. You can just have, like, fast infantry units or whatever else, something that hides behind terrain very, very well. So, but that will obviously come down to TO perspective and how they set everything up. And I think that will set apart the good events from the really, really bad ones, where, the bad events won't think about their line of sight and their distances to objectives and all that sort of stuff. So really, really keen to see how this shakes out. All right, tipping point. Basically hammer and anvil, but with a 12 and then a 20. Interesting. And then obviously having staggered objective markers means that this one is the hardest one for this opponent to get to, but very, very easy to get to for there. So I think we're going to see, as we do with all other 40k games, that speed literally will win these games. Because if you're able to very quickly get up and contest onto objectives and stage in positions where whatever your opponent puts out, you've got something else ready to go to kill whatever comes out there, then you're going to have a very comfortable game. So speed, as always, will be very, very big. Interested to see, once I've seen the primaries and the modifiers and the deck, see how I think that's going to change my list building, because it's almost impossible that a new mission deck doesn't change the way that we look at our list. But yeah, so primary mission, Burden of Trust. End of command phase or end of the turn if it's 5th and you're going 2nd. You score 4 VP for each objective marker you control that's not within your deployment zone. Then for each objective marker that player controls, you can select 1 unit from your army within range of that objective marker to guard it until the start of your next turn. You cannot pick aircraft. Second battle round onwards, when end of each player's turn, the opponent of the player whose turn it is scores 2 VP for each of their units that are within range of and guarding an objective marker they control. Okay, so it just gives a little bit of room for your opponent to outplay this, gives more of a primary incentive. It's a good mission. It's a good mission. As a TO, I don't see myself excluding this like we did Servo Skulls. Linchpin. In a command phase, end of your turn, if the player's turn it is does not control the objective marker in their deployment zone, they score 3 VP for each marker they do. Or if the player whose turn it is controls the objective marker in their deployment, they score 3 for controlling it and 5 for each other objective marker. Yeah, okay. Yeah, nice. It puts a weird onus on scoring your deployment zone marker, because losing 3 VP and then 2 VP for each no man's land objective is kind of a big deal. Having said that, no cap on this with some of the deployments and everything else, and I'm assuming they've got modifiers that set up more than one objective marker still. This could get silly really quick. You have a good, strong opening set of turns, and you max your primary straight away, and then it doesn't even matter where you're standing. You just want to keep your opponent off scoring that primary as well. So I think this is really going to favor rush armies. I think this is really going to favor Mont'ka Tau. And I think it's really going to... I mean, it could heavily punish Cao Yon Tau. But the thing that sticks in my mind is that, Cao Yon yes, you're getting all your benefits later in the game, and you could make the argument for, all right, but I'm going to score all my points once my opponent's dead, and I can give up turn 2 more readily to then kill my opponent effectively. And it is a good argument. But it also relies on your opponent not just being able to kill key things or stand in the road of things and need to be able to walk up and do things. So, yeah, I think this will be like Cao Yun could do well in this, but I think this more favors like Montcar and Kroot, which are going to just dominate the primary at all stages of like at least the first 3 turns. But yeah, so then we've got Purge. End of the battle round, each player scores 4 VP if one or more enemy units were destroyed this battle round. 4 VP at the end of the battle round as well. Each player scores 4 if more enemy units and friendly units were destroyed this battle round. And then end of the command phase or end of the turn if it's second, blah, blah, blah. Player's turn is 4 VP, and then an additional 4 if they control more. So basically it hasn't changed. It just had some good quality of life rewording, which I don't know that it needed the rewording, but at the end of the day, GW getting their ducks in a row is always a good thing, because you never know exactly what they fucked up until the competitive community kind of works it out and points it out to them. Kiryu, opponent scoring in your turn makes the Piranha Battle Shock test really good. I think so. I think Piranhas are in a very, very healthy state already, and there's nothing that I've seen so far that makes me think otherwise. And in fact, the opposite direction, where I think that they hold a lot more value. But we'll see as we continue on. So when setting up the battlefield, remove all objectives in No Man's. So the ritual still has the same core gimmick, which is just remove everything but the center objective. Shooting phase, 1 unit from your army. End of your turn. Set it up wholly within No Man's, within 1 inch of your unit, provided it can be set up exactly 12 from one other objective marker. So it's not 9 anymore. It's 12, and not within 6 of any other objective marker. Interesting. Interesting. So then you get, this one does have a cap of 5 VP per turn, but like I was saying before, having a string of markers set up like very, very easily lets you just score all the primary in the world, like very, very quickly. Now, obviously, that other one was a primary mission as well, and you wouldn't be having that with this, but I'm assuming that it's not only primary, but it'll be mission modifiers that can do that. Scorched Earth, I think, hasn't really changed from what I've seen mostly. Shooting phase, second battle round onwards, nothing changed there. Objective marker not within your deployment zone. End of your opponent's next turn at the end of the battle, whichever comes first. Unit still within range of the same objective marker. Control it, you burn it, remove it. Each time player whose turn it is burns an objective marker, that player scores 5 VP if that objective marker was in No Man's, or 10 if it was in their deployment zone. Now, I do like, because I believe before you couldn't score a burn multiple times. And there's not a lot of missions where you will want to burn, I don't think. Because you've got the 5 VP for each objective marker they control, up to 10, and then you want to be able to burn potentially multiple, or 10 VP for your opponents. And previously in Leviathan, you couldn't actually get a max score on Scorched Earth if you didn't get your opponent's deployment zone. So, I'd have to run the maths on this. If you're getting 10 per turn, you can get a 40. And if you burn 2, then all of a sudden you've got a max score. Or if you get your opponent's deployment zone, you get a max score. Now, it does state that 1 unit from your army can start a burn each turn. So it means that you can't just do like all 3 of those things in the last turn. So you got to set it up over time. But it's entirely doable. I think the way to go with Scorched Earth will be the same thing that I normally do, which is either accept that I'm getting a 95 and just a comfortable win, or just table the shit out of my opponent, get onto his home field objective and just burn it. But yeah. DGen, thank you for renewing your membership to Shaswee. Appreciate it, buddy. All right, so Scorched Earth basically hasn't changed. They just removed that dicky thing where like you could burn your own objective marker in your deployment zone, which is stupid. All right, supply drop. 2 different objective markers, Alpha and Omega. I'm going to be honest, I don't especially like this mission. Like, it was just, especially in a tournament setting, where you get to, like, round 4 and 5, you're completely ruined. You're tracking all these different things, and you've then got to track Alpha and Omega and blah, blah, blah. And the wording of it was super terrible. But randomly select 2 different objective markers in No Man's Land. The first selected is Alpha. Second is Omega. At least they've cleaned up the wording. It was way too wordy before. Like, to a ridiculous degree. Then, all objective markers in No Man's Land, apart from the Omega objective, are removed in the 5th battle round. So Alpha goes first, Omega stays. End of the command phase, you score VP 5 in the 2nd and 3rd, 8 in the 4th, 15 in the 5th. So it's the same as it was before. This one is a Cao Yon player's wet dream. Honestly, it is. Because you not only get to mark for your trap, and for people that aren't super familiar, let me bring up the Cao Yon rules. Do I have the Tau Codex on my thing? I believe I do. Detachments were down the bottom, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So Tempting Trap, you cannot use it first or second, and I'm recording a video talking about how much I goddamn fucking hate that. But anyway, you already know which one is going to be the Omega objective. You mark it, and you've got +1 to wound till the end of the game. Just till the end of the game. And that is actually really good, because you know that your opponent is going to be contesting that objective. Because Alpha's going to fuck off, and then the other one's going to fuck off, and all that's going to be left is Omega, and that juicy 15 VP is not something that a lot of players can give up. And on top of that, you don't actually get that much VP for scoring early, or at least you don't get punished super hard for not scoring early. Because when you look at it, you could give up primary completely in turn 2. And then turn 3, you could score a 15 for 1, 2, 3. Then in turn 4, you could score a 16 for the 2 remaining objective markers. And then in turn 5, you score 15. Which is just, that's your primary done. That's your primary done completely. You're just whatever. So Cao Yon players love supply drop. Me, It's, I mean, I'll play it and I'll probably do well with it, but it doesn't mean that it's engaging me. Speaking of not engaging you, Take and Hold. Hasn't changed. 5 VP for each one. It's fine. It's kind of a tournament staple for a reason in key rounds, because you want to have objective missions which are not overloading players at the wrong point in a tournament. You want to have stuff which is your very basic vanilla sort of shit, and this one is perfect for that. Didn't need to change. Didn't want it to change. Perfect the way it is. It's not, you know, it's the girl you settle down with, not the girl that you're like in your 20s racing around clubs, snorting coke and getting into fights with bouncers with. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the exciting girl. It's the girl that has your kids. Yeah. Anyway, Terraform. This is, so far as I know, completely new. So shooting phase. One or more units from your army, each within range of a different objective marker that is not terraformed, completes end of your opponent's next turn or end of the battle, whichever comes first. If the unit is still within range of the same objective marker, I'm so glad they put that wording in. There was so much Eldar bullshit where they could start an action and then fire and fade off the fucking point, and there was no wording to say that they needed to stay within range of the marker to do their shit. But anyway, you control that objective marker, another very important thing. This is also another, like, hedge case for the piranhas. Running up to somebody who declared an action in their turn and going, boom, take a battle shock test. And then the battle round ends and they're battle shocked, 0 OC, don't control it, can't perform an action. Bam. No points for you, get fucked. If completed, each of those objective markers is terraformed. End of the command phase or end of the turn, if it's 5th battle round, you're going second. Player's turn it is, up to 15 VP. 4 VP for each objective marker they control, and 2 VP for each objective marker they have terraformed during the battle, and it is cumulative. So for each objective marker they control and that they've terraformed, they get 6 VP, up to 15. So again, it's just you hold 3, but if you only hold 2, you're still getting 12, which is still really good for a turn. So this one, I'm glad that they put in that, you know, they have terraformed, because it'd be really, really shit if, like, you just let your opponent go up, terraform an objective marker, and then take it over and be like, oh, it's been terraformed, I get to score my points. And I think that'd be really dumb if they went down that road. This one, I don't hate. Like, it puts more of an onus on things that can perform an action. It's your trash units and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, interested to see how this goes. I think this is going to favor a lot of things like, you know, Swarm Nids, Kroot, Green Tide, Custodes, all that sort of stuff. And, you know, really there should be missions like this which do favor armies like that, and you don't have, you know, every single game just being a shootout or a melee fest, and whoever's left over just gets to score all the points. So that's good. That's good. Unexploded Ordnance. The objective markers that start in No Man's Land are hazard objective markers. Shooting phase, 1 unit within range. End of the turn, performing this action still within range. And you control that objective marker. You can move each of these hazard objective markers up to 6. It's Servo Skulls. It's Servo Skulls. You just renamed Servo Skulls. When doing so, that objective marker cannot end that move on top of any other objective marker or model or inside passable parts of terrain features. End of each player's turn. The player's turn is scores VP as follows: 8 VP for each hazard marker that is wholly within their opponent's deployment zone, 5 that is wholly within 6 inches of their opponent's deployment zone, and 2 for each hazard marker that is wholly within 12 inches of their opponent's deployment zone. This is so shit. This is so shit. GW, if I find out that you removed good primary missions and you renamed the primary mission that no tournament was ever using, no tournament that was ever worth its salt ever used, and you did this, I'm gonna slap a motherfucker. And they won't even be related to 40k. I'll just find somebody on the street and they'll be walking down having a great old time, probably walking their dog, you know, Mrs. Witham just loving life, and then bam, they're gonna get like this all up in here because of you, GW, because of you. All right, now we're on to the mission rules. Hello, Masu. How you doing? How you doing, bud? Good Lord, I'm about to go to bed. I was not able to go to bed. Oh Lordy, the insomnia has been real. The insomnia has been real. Stress is a hell of a drug. Can multiple piranhas target one unit to force more than one battle shock test? Yes, they can, Kiryu. Yes, they can. Absolutely. And it runs on the same precedent as Chaos Knights, as Nids that don't have the wording. And this is the thing, you got to remember, the rules are permissive in nature and you need to restrict something. There are rules with battle shock tests that say a unit does not need to take more than one. Look at our Kroot detachment, the Grizzly Feast. It says in there, a unit that takes this battle shock test does not need to take an additional battle shock test as part of their whatever. A unit can be forced to take multiple battle shock tests. Absolutely, tootly, little bootly. All right. First mission rule, adapt or die. Once per battle, at the end of the player's turn, after scoring any VP, they can discard one of their secondary mission cards and replace it with another secondary mission card that has the fixed mission symbol. That is for players using fixed missions. So, once per battle, at the end of their turn, they score their VP and then they swap out a card. For players using tactical, twice per battle, after drawing a second mission card, that player can draw another secondary mission card, then shuffle one of those 2 secondary mission cards back in their secondary mission deck. Now, this one, as a TO, my initial reaction is that I am hesitant about this card. The fixed being able to change one of their secondaries, sure, gives a bit of adaptability on the fly for, like, you know, if they took Bring It Down and they kill all of their, you know, all of the vehicles, but they weren't going to be able to max it out and then they swap it for something else, which is doable. That's kind of cool to have players taking fixed still be able to get a hundo in their game. But giving people twice per battle, draw another secondary mission card and discard the other one, you are giving them 2 CP just for free that a fixed player can't spend for, can't do anything with. Giving somebody 2 CP worth of resources just for no reason. I'm going to chat to some of the other like players that I trust the opinions of. I am hesitant about this one. As a player, I'd be more than happy to take this because I only ever take tactical. 2 free redraws in a game? Fucking hell yeah, brother. Just, yeah, and it says twice per battle. Doesn't say, oh, sorry, no, it does say shuffle one of those 2 secondary mission cards back in their secondary mission deck. And because of the sequencing after drawing, it does restrict it that you can't just redraw both cards in the same turn. So at least I'm glad they've got that, but there's a lot of players that are going to miss that sequencing. And I probably only noticed it because we've been doing a lot of rules lawyering stuff in the Discord and like helping people with little edge case rules and whatever. And sequencing is actually a very, very important part of the core rules. So yeah, I'm hesitant about this one. We'll see though. We'll see. Fog of War. In the first battle round, units have benefit of cover and players cannot use core stratagems, excluding new orders. That's fine. That's fine. That's actually... That feels kind of like a Chilling Reign sort of thing. Obviously, it stops a lot of shooting Alpha Strike that can't ignore cover. As a Tau player, I don't give a shit. I'm going to be ignoring cover anyway. And it means that, like, you know, a big-ass, like, Lord of War or, you know, a Katana or whatever can't CP reroll that invuln save for a Skyray that just shot it with 3 Seeker missiles and I need all 3 to go through. And I think this is fun. Odysseus, how you doing, buddy? Someone record that. We made it in court. Oh, no. What did I say this? Oh, about slapping a motherfucker? Yeah. Anyway, Fog of War seems fine. Honestly, seems fine. Hidden supplies, when drawn. If you also drew the ritual, yeah, okay, so this is basically not changed, I'm assuming. Draw a new mission rule card. In the place objective marker step, players must set up 1 additional objective marker in no man's land. Before setting up this new objective marker, players must first move the objective marker in the center of the battlefield 6 inches towards one of the corners. Hidden supplies was actually good. I actually really liked having a mission where you could just set up 6 objective markers rather than the normal 4, 5, yeah. Like it was actually good. It had a decent bit of variety that we didn't see with a ton of stuff. All right, Mission Moon, do you want to say hello to everybody? My little man, because I'm up, is getting a little bit of... So you're familiar with FOMO, but because he's Mushu, Chelsea and I call it FOMO. He gets FOMO all the time. Like if I'm out, I may be doing the most boring goddamn thing, and he will want to be there until he realizes that it's boring as fuck, and then he starts crying because he's like, Dad, you're not doing anything fun. What the fuck, mate? Yeah. So when Dad can't sleep, little Moo Man has the FOMO. Oh my god, he's being so cute. I need to turn on the Mushu cam. I really need to turn on the Mushu cam. Little man, I can't pay attention to you. No, back up. Good boy. All right, so hidden supplies didn't need to change. Really glad that this is still in there. It's really just a good modifier to make games a little bit different, and especially from a tournament perspective, being able to do not hoot at me, little boy. I'm in the middle of a thought. Could you wait? Being able to throw in something like this in the middle of a tournament offers your players just a little bit of extra variety. And having people have to consider, all right, if there are like 4 No Man's Land objectives, how am I going to be able to skin that cat? Am I going to be able to do away with certain things? Am I going to build my list differently? All that sort of stuff. Doing good. See you going over the new missions. Nice. How are you? Honestly, Odysseus, I've been better. I'm still dealing with the work shit where I got a manager that's trying to fire me. And spoke to the head of HR today, had to provide a lot of extra information and blah, 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 blah. And it's just getting into a he said, she said slap fight that I'm just sick of. So, yeah, genuinely considering just pulling the trigger on doing all of this full time and saying fuck you to all of them. Even if even if they do find that I've done nothing wrong, which I haven't, but, you know, we all know how the truth can matter very, very little to people when it suits them. All right, so Inspired Leadership. While a player's warlord is not within their deployment zone, each time a unit from that player's army takes a battle shock test, if that player's warlord is within 9 of and visible to that unit, add 1 to the test. That's fine. That's fine. I don't think mission rules need to modify the game more than this, like outside of a few hedge cases, like being able to split the center objective marker. That's fine. Prepared positions. Players can target their battle line units with the go to ground and heroic intervention stratagems for 0 CP. Cannot done so if they've already done it. This is going to be enormous for some armies. Like Custodians immediately jump out at me. Or like Green Tide or Kroot. If you're able to heroically intervene when somebody charges a unit that they thought was fine, and then all of a sudden they've got a 20-man piling into them, that can be huge. Go to ground, I don't care about because as a Tau player, I'm ignoring cover most of the time anyway. Hey, don't lick my chair, you little friggin' weirdo. But yeah, I think this is going to be enormous for some people and just a thing that people forget about for other armies. So yeah, I think it'll help Drukhari because I think they've got some decent battle line. But yeah, I guess it's fine. It's fine. There's nothing that's like galling to me about it. But yeah, if there's no fun, sorry to hear, man. I mean, it happens. You can't have a good run of, you know, being this good looking and having a good YouTube channel and, you know, all the other fun stuff that comes with being me, and not have somebody turn around and be like, you know what, I don't like you, fuck you, and then try and collapse your world around you. But yep, that's fine. I look like this, he looks like that. But obviously I'm not that conceited, everybody. That was Catachan humor. But anyway, raise banners. So this is where we're starting to see some of the battle line stuff that they were talking about. So raise banners we saw in the reveals. At the end of each player's turn, a battle line unit from their army is within range of an objective marker that player controls. That unit raises a banner on that objective marker. That player scores 1 VP, which is counted towards their secondary mission score, and that player's unit can no longer raise a banner on that objective marker. So I noticed that it says... It doesn't say that you keep scoring this over and over again. You just get the 1 VP for being there. So what I'm hearing is dump a unit of breaches on each objective marker, get the 3 extra VP. Actually, you can really get 5 extra VP towards your secondary mission score because this doesn't even say no man's land. So you have a unit that's in range of your home field objective. Bang, 1 VP, done. That's banned. Then you put 3 on no man's land in no man's land objectives. Bang, you've been Bruce banned. And then you go to your opponent's deployment zone after tabling them, put a single breacher that lived miraculously onto his home field objective. Nobody else is standing around, so he gets to do it for free. And then bam, you've got Bruce Banner on top of Black Widow giving her the banner. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I'm noticing like they made a big claim that there was going to be a lot of battle line focus. Is this it? Rapid escalation. In the first battle round, each player can set up battle line units from strat reserves in the reinforcement step of their movement phase. If they do, these units must be set up wholly within 6 of any battlefield edge. No model can be set up in the enemy deployment zone. Points total of the units a player can set up this way cannot exceed 10% of their total points limit for the chosen battle size. So in a strike force, which is what we focus on as competitive players, you can set up 200 points of strategic reserves units. There's a mission rule that, like... yeah, it's fine, I guess. Now, the thing that I don't like on here is that they could have added in outside of 9. Now, obviously, we as good players know that being set up from strategic reserves, you must be outside of 9. But then they decided to put in set up wholly within 6 inches of any battlefield edge, which you have to do as part of setting up from strategic reserves. I guess that's to stop things with a deep strike rule, being able to just freely deep strike turn 1. Because, you know, deep strikers are still coming from reserves. They just use the deep strike rule rather than the strategic reserves rule for where they have to be set up. But I feel like you've got so much extra room on the card, you could have just specified it around here. Because I'm sure there is some fucking limp dick Andy which is going to see the lack of 9 inches and be like, no, I can set up just outside of one of you and charge you because that's what I'm allowed to do because it's not on the card, bro. So, yeah. Rapid escalation is fine, I guess. If I start to think about what would I want to use this for, breaches walking in turn 1, being just outside of 9, and riding that 10-inch line, it's doable, but it's a fucking meme. And I can guarantee you there is nobody doing that with strikes. And if they do, they're a middle table Andy that just bullies like seals. Though, having said that, a 20-man Kroot walking on somewhere else on the board and not having to play how the fuck do I get out of my deployment zone, that's juicy. That's actually juicy. Being from Australia, shouldn't it be Eric Banner? Oh my God, missed opportunity. Oh my God. Okay, I changed my statement. I'm retracting and changing the record, Your Honor. I want it to be known that when I drop on my opponent's home field objective, it's Eric Banner playing Bruce Banner, dropping a banner. That's final statement. All right, smoke and mirrors. After both players have deployed their armies, starting with the attacker, each player can place one unit from their army that is on the battlefield into strategic reserves. Regardless of how many units are already there, points value cannot exceed 25% of each player's total points limit for the chosen battle size as shown below. So you can only redeploy 500 points. Oh, that's everything in the game. What is not able to benefit from? You can't redeploy a Towner. You can't redeploy a Towner. Okay. But, you know, for all the jokes that I'm making, I actually don't hate this. I actually don't hate this at all. That is interesting. That is actually an interesting modifier. I'm going to call it now G-dub-dub. That is a G-dub-dub. Good dub, G-dub. Okay. All right, Smoke and Mirrors. Love it. Stalwarts. Battle line. Okay, so we do have some more battle line stuff. Battle line units that perform an action are still eligible to shoot in that turn, but cannot start to perform another action in that turn. And battle line units can perform actions while within engagement range of one or more enemy units. As a breaches player, a breaches aficionado, a person who would sexually assault a number of breaches, whether I have consent or not, I love this. I love this. I absolutely want this. You being able to pile out a unit of breaches out of a devilfish that just advanced and you're able to shoot, and then that also means you're eligible to do an action. All right. We got that post-nut clarity right now. That's G-dub-dub. That is a G-dub-dub. Let's get him with that big old W. That is a G-dub-dub. All right, swift action. Battle line units that advance or fall back are still eligible to perform an action in that turn. Yeah, cool. That's good. That'll help out quite a bit. Obviously, being a mission rule, I would expect to see this in at least like one round of every single like large-scale GT or major or whatever. Stalwarts, I'm interested to see whether they throw that in there. I think this should go in because a healthy meta should include a number of battle line units. Like it should include the core of most people's armies. The problem that exists is that not all battle line is created equal, where some people have incredible battle line units and other people So, yeah. We'll have to see how this shakes out, but I think each of these rules will be good to include in a tournament pack. But there's actually quite a few mission rules here that I think that there is a lot of variety. So, and there's, so far as I can see, there are less dead mission rules and there are less dead primary missions, except for this. If you have a TO that puts unexploded ordnance into your mission pack, send me a plane ticket and their location, and that motherfucker will get slapped. I promise you. I promise you on my honor, as a person who enjoys getting slapped every now and again, because Chelsea has a gentle but firm hand, I will do that for you. This should never be included in any mission pack. Fuck that primary mission. All right, that's the mission rules. And so let's start with, what am I feeling? What am I feeling from all of that? Because as I said at the start, I am coming into this semi-blind. And I kind of had it's weird that it was kind of a benefit that like my world got turned to shit just momentarily. Because like, you know, staying away from some of this stuff actually gives stuff time to settle in, and I don't like being reactive in my nature, but I'm going to call mission rules and primary missions, that's a G-dub-dub. They've done a good job with that. I don't hate anything that I saw except for Servo Skulls. Everything else, as a player, looking into that, there's a number of things that I can build into, or if I just build wide and just cover all my bases, like I'll be able to interact with all those mission rules and all those primary missions fairly well. And if I've got the battle line units for it and I run into that mission rule, it opens up being able to play more aggressively, being able to, do things that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. And that could be really, really cool. Now, obviously, you won't always have it come up for you because you've got to draw the cards at the right time. And we've all been, drawn out in tournaments where we just draw crap at moments that we cannot possibly hope to score. But I'm going to call the first half of this, that is a dub. That's a big W for GW. Honestly, good job. Really, really good job. All right, let's get into our secondary missions for everybody. I will catch up on a little bit of chat before we move on to it, but yeah. Word against word manages to get priority. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. Though luckily enough, I do have a fair amount of evidence to support myself, but I got asked, like, what were you working on 6 months ago, and can you provide proof that you were ever working on it? And I'm like, motherfucker, what? What? Can you provide that? Like, do you understand how ridiculous what you just asked me is? Yeah. Dusting off my Votan, it's the only army I own with loads of battle line at my disposal. To be honest, from everything I read, I don't think Battleline is the be-all and end-all like GW were kind of hyping it up to be, or that people gleaned from GW and kind of assumed that it would be. From what I've seen there, I think I'm still solid with my breaches. I feel very bad for Retaliation Carter, because there's going to be some primary missions or mission rules that you just do not interact with. And your opponent just gets free extra points just cause. Yeah. I really hope this comes with like some sort of change. And I know that people have said it kind of ironically, but I would actually like the Retaliation Carter detachment to give stealth suits battle line. I think they need more of it. And 60 points a unit, plenty of guiders, good action monkeys, generally priced at about the point that you would want them to have, and not wanting to take something that doesn't interact with your detachment rule, why not give them battle line? Like, it would push Retaliation Carter from like a mid-table bully that can't, really comfortably win any tournaments against some of the big boys, to a legitimate contender for like, all right, if the Tau player is good enough, he's got everything he needs to go all the way. But yeah. Useless unless I could redeploy my Manta. Okay. All right. Big man flexing into here that he's got a Manta. Okay. Well, here we go, mister. I have money and I'm not worried about where I'm going to live next month because I can live in my Manta. Must be nice. Does the Manta even fit on some of these new maps? I don't even know. What the fuck? I just got a sponsor pop up. Date Latinas for men over 50. I'm not over 50 and don't say in the US. Oh, and I'm not single. Should have led with that. Great save, Moody. Great save. You absolutely nailed that. Just everybody believes you. They use Kroot now as a stopgap. Kroot aren't battle line unless they're in the Kroot detachment. They do not have battle line, which I honestly think is a damn shame. I really do think Kroot should be battle line for everybody. But, yeah. My Manta is made of foam. It's not real. Oh, big man flexing his foam Manta. Oh, look at me. I have enough foam that I can make a Manta. And if I'm homeless, I can sleep under my foam. I'm kidding, by the way. But I really wanted the Orca. Dawn of War vibes. Yeah, hell yeah. Fucking hell yeah. All right. Now that we've heckled people from the chat enough, let's get into it. So Area Denial, this one I have already seen. This one's just good that they cleaned up a lot of the wording stuff. There's no more ambiguity for whether you have to have somebody in the center to score Area Denial, which was an argument that was being had in the past, and I've had to rule on this at every tournament that I've run. So yeah, basically just you have a unit within range of the center, no enemy units within, and notice that they've changed it from wholly within just to within, so it's easier to contest for you as well, especially with big units. Like if I was running the Wolves, there's no chance that a Thunderwolf Cav unit is really able to score this for me because of the sheer fucking size of the bases. And there's sometimes where, like, you know, scoring Area Denial or denying Area Denial is great and everything, but like when you're setting up, like you shouldn't be putting units like dead smack in the center of an objective. Actually, let me load up TTS. I'll show you guys. Now, I loaded up my Steam just to see, because I think somebody said that the FTC base got updated. So actually, let's jump in and just see if it's got the new maps on there. But I'll show you what I mean by, like, Area Denial should not be something where, you know, like somebody just plonks right in the center of an objective marker. And I feel like the people that do that are also the players that are like, oh, this game's busted, Tau's fucking bullshit, you know, you just kill everything that you look at. And it's like, well, yeah, you put your entire army out in the open. Like, what the fuck did you expect me to do? All right, so let's have a look at this. It is taking a while, which means that it's loading stuff for the first time. That is actually promising. That's still Leviathan. Let's have a look at... Oh, it is updated! Oh, now that's actually something I've got to consider. My my maps are not current anymore, outside of like the, you know, the Hammer and Anvil ones and that sort of stuff. But let's do that. Let's do that. Let's go Hammer and Anvil. Oh, you stupid son of a bitch, Jay. Let's load that. And then let's remember to additive load. Hammer and Anvil, additive load. All right. And then we go... Okay, so we get a Hammer and Anvil. So we have a center objective here. When I'm looking at, and let's just go show Area Denial. So when I'm wanting to interact with this at all, or when I'm wanting to, you know, contest things, you will have like these really, like, let's take my sisters, for example. A lot of like small units, relatively paper, not things that you just want to like throw away. So if I've got a unit that could just tow on this side of it, like there's no units for me to fight or charge into or shoot or whatever. I'm just wanting to hold this, and I'm wanting to be in range of Area Denial. So I want to stand on the objective to hold it, and I want to be able to deny something. Why wouldn't I stand here and have one unit behind the wall so that, you know, I can kill off the front one and then just have the back one there so I maintain the unit. There are people that will legitimately do this, unironically. And they go, oh, well, he just walked out of here and he killed me. And it's like, yeah, no fucking shit he did. You could have had deconfliction of space to where he might have been able to walk out so that, like, you know, 18-inch guns might not have been able to tag you, but from here, they absolutely were able to. Or, like, his charge distance walking out from here, you know, like, he goes, like, an advance of, like, 10, and he's got advance and charge, and he's got an 8-inch charge, and he makes it. But if you had been back here, then there's no chance he gets that, because then all of a sudden that 8-inch charge turns into a 13.3 and he can't do it. Like, so this is where I talk about when you're looking at area denial, within is so much better because now you don't have to be wholly within, and it allows you to position in ways that you normally would in order to protect yourself and stop somebody else. But yeah, so area denial didn't need to change. Glad it's still in there, honestly. Behind enemy lines, when drawn, if it's a first battle round, you can draw a new secondary. Oh my god, thank you. Oh my god, thank you. Drawing this turn 1 was the most, like, terrible feeling. Or, like, not terrible feeling, because you'd be like, okay, it's a CP. But then your opponent gets to go, okay, you have drawn and discarded behind enemy lines, which means that I don't need to screen as hard right now, because there's no chance you score it. Note, though, it does say 4 VP instead of 5. Interesting. My little boy's growling at me. So 1 unit for 3, 2 for 4. Interesting. I guess that this would probably have to do with the fact that, like, you're getting a lot of extra stuff from banners and whatever else which counts to your secondary score. Interesting. Okay. Bring it down. Now, I've seen a lot of people talking about this, and this is something that I think we as Tau players need to talk about. So, first off, when drawn, if there are no enemy monster or vehicle units on the battlefield, you can discard it and draw a new secondary. Thank fuck. This being put onto the cards is such a G-dub. Massive dub. While this card's active, any battle round, each time an enemy monster or vehicle unit is destroyed, note, unit, 2 VP, plus total wounds characters of the models in that destroyed unit was 15 plus at its starting strength, plus 2. The total of the wounds characteristic of the models that are destroyed, 20 plus at its starting strength, plus 2. So if you kill a plus 20 wound model, like, for example, a Storm Surge, you're getting 6 VP for that. Now, I've heard a lot of people talking about that this is the death of crisis suits. Or, you know, you're not going to take the shield drone on them so that they're 14 wounds as opposed to 15 wounds. And I can see that argument. And, you know, having a marker gun drone and then gun shield is fine. But I don't know that it matters that much. Like, yes, an opponent's going to get 4 VP each time they kill a crisis unit if they take fix, bring it down. They won't get it against our Devilfish or anything, which is really good. They'll just get 2 VP. So when people are talking about, they're like, oh no, this bring it down is whatever. You actually got more VP for taking fix, bring it down, killing Devilfish and Riptides and everything else. But you're actually taking less now, so I don't think that losing that shield drone is actually worth your while to deny 2 VP. And again, like I was saying before, I only lost 1 game when somebody would take Assassinate, bring it down against me. Or bring it down, deploy Teleport Home, or whatever. I don't think that you need to worry about this as much as people are saying that you need to worry about this. Like, if you can protect yourself and you don't really lose anything for doing it, then sure. Why not? But that extra wound, there are a number of times where having all 5 wounds on my crisis suits has mattered, and there's a reason why it was such a big deal that we can't double shield drone anymore to be 6 wounds, because every wound counts in a game. And I don't think that I'm so petrified scared to bring it down that I'm going to like play around this like I'm gonna die. I just remember that I can like totally full screen this. I don't remember where, but yeah, whatever. Wait, is it F11? Oh my god, it is. There we go. We professionals here. All right, so with that out of the way, cleanse. Your shooting phase. One or more units from your army that are in range of an objective marker not within your deployment zone. End of the turn, perform an action still in range and you control completes at the end of the turn. Objective marker is cleansed from your army. End of your turn, one objective marker was cleansed, 2 or more were cleansed for VP. Nothing here I think changed, though I think you got 2 and 5 previously. So we are seeing a bit of a hit to this. I think hundreds in tournaments are going to become much, much less. Containment, your shooting phase. It's an action. One or more units from your army wholly within 9 of one or more battlefield edges and not within your deployment zone. Select a different one of those battlefield edges for each one of these units. This is just signals. This is just signals. For each battlefield edge, 3 VP up to 6. Oh, so you only need to do 2. So it's actually a better version of signals. I like that. Having to get all 4 corners was just... I don't know if I ever did it. Like, once. But what the fuck? It's 4 a.m., bro? Oh, don't you know it. 4:49 right here. Just insomnia and a brain that won't shut up when it feels like it's under threat. So, yeah. As I said at the very, very start, my loss is your gain. And I'm sure I'll pass out later today from exhaustion, but figured I'd talk about something constructive. Could going from 4 to 5 to account for the 20 points gap? It might be. It might be. So we'll have to see how this shakes out. But yeah, if hundreds aren't as common anymore, I wonder if that's actually going to change list design, how people work at tournaments, or if you're just going to have like, you know, if you remember from 9th where a Tau 100 was a 97, like if that just becomes the new norm. Kuldr Horde, this is what everybody was talking about before. And again, I don't think this is the silver bullet that everybody's worried about. If there are no enemy units on the battlefield that satisfy either conditions, redraw, which, like, that's fine. Absolutely fine. That's, you know, something that I'm glad they're adding to a lot of these cards. Each time an infantry unit's destroyed, if one or more of the following conditions are satisfied. Starting strength of the destroyed unit was 20 plus, or the total of the wounds characteristic of the models in the destroyed unit was 25 plus at its starting strength. So, this is actually designed to take care of hordes, and I don't think that this is like, yes, it can be taken as fixed. It doesn't count leaders, but one of the things that I was saying, and this is something that was being posed in the Discord, and that I agreed with when I saw their take on it, having to give up one of the characters that makes those 20-mans work isn't something that a lot of armies want to do. Like, a lot of those armies are doing well with those big 20-mans because the characters that they're attaching to them give them so many benefits that you wouldn't actually want to give them up. And yes, you can just pay for the full strength of the army and take one less model, but, you know, like, I think it was Moody was saying before, people can, and in quotations, cheat by doing this. When GW bakes that into their rules, and they even said in the initial release for 10th, you can take less than the full strength of the unit, but you have to pay the points for the full strength unit. Like, that's something where, you know, if somebody's jumping through those hoops because they're terrified of this 5 VP, I'm going to look at that and just be like, all right, I don't actually think you're that great a player. Like, a good player isn't going to shit their pants over somebody scoring 5 VP over this secondary. They will play in a way that goes, all right, you're going to max this, so I'm going to make sure you don't get primary. And I'm just going to jam the stuff that you're wanting to kill so far down your throat so you don't leave your deployment zone. And then I'm just going to win because you don't touch primary. Yay, you get a 20. And that's exactly what I did with the bring it down, assassinate combinations that people were doing. You just jam shit down people's throat and then they can't do anything. They can't do anything at all. And a lot of people don't actually get ready for the possibility that you're about to do that to them because they think the secondary is a silver bullet. But yeah, more than happy to be wrong on that. And if I am, I'll eat my words. But I think this is going to be strong. It's going to be formative for the meta, but it's not something that if you like running Horde Kroot, that you need to be like, oh my God, he's got this secondary. You will lose if you give up the board to them because you're so terrified of them scoring their points. You need to push into it and just be like, cool, you're going to score it. But that's it. Engage on all fronts is 2 and 4, so it was 3 and 5. So now we've got the baby secondary and the big boy secondary both nerfed. If there are fewer than 3 units from your army, you can discard and draw a new one. Good. It excludes aircraft, excludes battle shocked units. This is good to actually make battle shock matter. Wholly within 3 different table quarters. More than 6. Nothing needed to change with that. Established locus. I believe that this is the new teleport homers. Shooting phase, any turn, if that unit is within your opponent's deployment zone or within 6 of the battlefield. Center of the battlefield 2, deployment zone 4. Get fucked, Nids. You can't do actions with zero OC units. All right, extend battle lines. This is a secondary that I'm so glad is still here. You control 1 or more objective markers in your deployment zone, 1 in no man's land. You only have 1 unit on the battlefield, and that unit controls 1 objective marker within no man's land. You get 2. I'm glad they put a baby one on this, just so when you're at the end of the game, you actually get to score something. By the way, if you notice that I'm rocking side to side, I'm actually scratching my pup with my feet, just like going up and down on his little tummy and his hindquarters. So yeah, this one's fun. Extend battle lines didn't need to change, but the change that they made, I think, is very healthy, and I actually really like it. Yeah, that's a W. Marked for Death. I saw this in the reveals. I don't like this card. I do not like this card. Your opponent selects 3 units from their army on the battlefield. They just get to pick things that they know you won't be able to kill. And yes, it's 1 or more of the selected units. And yes, this is a card for when it's end of the game, your opponent's running out of resources and they're forced to pick things they don't want to pick, and then you get to kill one of them. Excuse you, little boy. My foot is not for you to eat and lick. You little shithead. He knows I'm working and he goes straight back and forth. Excuse you. He's trying to gaslight me into playing with him. He's trying to gaslight me. Oh, Michael, how you doing, bud? We did get your email. I'm so sorry we haven't written back to you just yet. Chelsea was literally smiling ear to ear. Really glad you love your dice bags, man. Really, really love it. Thank you for reaching out. Really appreciate it. This little fucking shit. Gaslighting me into playing. Obviously not you, Michael. That's not you being a little shit. But yeah, I think this one's fine. I think it's and it is end of either player's turn. So if they come out and use those units to do something, you could still potentially kill them in Overwatch or fighting or whatever. But I don't think I'm going to enjoy seeing this card unless it's the end of the game. I really don't. No prisoners, 2 VP each time an enemy unit's destroyed, up to 5 VP. Cool. Good. Overwhelming force, each time an enemy unit started turn within range of an objective marker is destroyed, 3 VP up to 5. Good. This is also going to be the reason why my infiltrators are never going to start a turn in range of an objective marker, so my opponent can't get it turn 1. Recover assets, a new one. If there are fewer than 2 units from your army, discard and draw a new one. Shooting phase, 2 or more units from your army. If each of these units are wholly within a different one of the following areas: your deployment zone, no man's land, your opponent's deployment zone. End of your opponent's next turn or the end of the battle, whichever comes first. If either 2 or 3 of those units are on the battlefield, those units recover assets. So it is an action that you make in your shooting phase with 2 or more units from your army. So if you've got 2 units of recovered assets, 3 VP. If 3 of them recovered assets, 6 VP. So this would be something that, like, I can see this on my sisters. A Seraphim unit deep strikes into my opponent's deployment zone. I've got like a Rhino in no man's land, and I've got a Battle Sister unit on my home field objective. Bang, done, 6 VP. Yep, fine. That's a relatively good card. It's not something you're going to break your back to get, but obviously having a mission rule where units are still eligible to shoot when they do an action, you can pile out breaches, have one unit that is able to get far enough to get into the opponent's deployment zone. They still get to shoot. They do this action. You do it with another unit in no man's. Again, you can do that. And this also has the fixed marker down here, meaning that this is a mission plan that you can take. Sabotage. Love me some Sabotage. Your shooting phase, one unit from your army that is within a terrain feature and not within your deployment zone. End of your opponent's next turn or the end of the battle, whichever comes first. Your unit commits Sabotage. So then any battle round, end of your opponent's turn or the end of the battle, whichever comes first, your unit committed Sabotage this turn and is not within your opponent's deployment zone, so you get 3 VP, or you committed Sabotage this turn and is within your opponent's deployment zone, you get 6. That's cool. That's cool. Another thing that you can drop a unit down and favoring a terrain feature, which won't be a guarantee because people are usually occupying terrain features in order to protect their units from the rest of your army. But if you get it, that's pretty cool. Pretty thematic too, honestly. Secure No Man's Land. 1 in No Man's, you get 2. 2 in No Man's, you get 5. Didn't need to change. Glad it's still there. Assassination. If you're using fixed, whenever you kill a character for VP, if you're using tactical, end of the turn, if either of these conditions have been met, either one or more characters are destroyed or all character units have been destroyed during the battle. If you're using tactical missions, this secondary mission is achieved even if such a unit was destroyed and then subsequently resurrected. Assassination didn't really need to change, so that's fine. Storm hostile objective. End of your turn, if either of the below conditions are satisfied, you score fixed. 4 if using fixed, 5 if using tactical. Cannot be achieved during the first battle round. If you drew it, redraw it. Storm hostile didn't really need to change. That's fine. Defend stronghold is exactly the same. Own deployment zone cannot be achieved first battle round. Exactly the same, and it's at the end of your opponent's turn or at the end of the battle. So exact same. Then we've got the secret missions. So secret missions are an interesting one. I'm holding my judgment till I see what the effect will be of these things and if I've had a chance to actually use them. But I believe these are in the same stage that you picked your gambits, which I never used, never even once. You go end of the battle. Your warlord is within range of 1 or more objective markers in your opponent's deployment zone. That you control, is very important. Shadow Cohesion, end of the battle. There are no units from your opponent's your opponent's army on the battlefield. So it's you table them. Every unit from your opponent's army that is on the battlefield meets 1 or more of the following conditions. It's battle shocked, below half strength, or more than 3 from any objective markers. So, okay, that is I think I'm going to table my opponent, but I've had a really, really rough early game, which means that I don't know if I'm going to be able to score effectively. Then Unbroken Will, end of the battle. You control 3 or more objective markers that are not within your deployment zone. Just go out as a horde, get that extra 20, and then just go, I'm going to get a 90 for this game because it caps your primary out. And then War of Attrition, end of the battle. 1 or more battle line units from your army are within your opponent's deployment zone, and one of the following conditions applies. There are no battle line units from your opponent's army on the battlefield. Every battle line unit from your opponent's army that is on the battlefield is within your opponent's deployment zone. Interesting. So there are some interesting things that you can do with secret missions, and I'm actually really hoping that these are a positive add to the game rather than something like Gambits, which were just poorly conceived and ended up just being a win more. But yeah, I think from what I've read, this is a W. This is a W. I like everything that I've seen. There's enough new stuff which keeps everything fresh and, is new things for you to think about, but not so much that is different that I am you know, relearning an entire mission pack from scratch. I think this actually shows that GW has learned a lot from the data that they've received, from feedback from the competitive community, things that worked, things that didn't, though how they didn't get the message that Servo Skulls sucked and under any other name it still is crap. But everything else in this pack is just great. It's making me want to go and play a game. It's making me want to go and play a game right now. So yeah, I'm actually very, very, very happy with this. Very happy with this. For everybody watching, let me know what you guys think. And if you're watching this as a VOD, make sure you do all of the internet things and like and share and comment, whatever else, all the things that make the algorithm gods smile down on us. Or don't. I'm not your dad. But let me know what you think in the comments, whether this is, as I'm claiming it, a GW dub, or if you've got some other hot takes on it. I think that there was some stuff that people were getting a little bit doomer on earlier than they should have. Things like the Horde objective card, especially given that I know that some of the people that were like umming and ahhing about it were also people that really didn't like that, you know, Green Tide was taking over the meta. But yeah, I honestly think that there is so much that I've just sort of read and taken in that I am very, very happy with. And, you know, let's swap over to TTS. I actually think that some of the new deployment layouts, while having a few that were good, like sweeping engagement, this, obviously the terrain won't be set up like this, but you know, having your deployment zone like this is a new point of decision making. And I'm actually keen to not only see this from the perspective of the table where you're a player and you're trying to work out how to solve that, but also as a TO building these terrain packs and working out what is going to give the most balanced approach for people to be able to stage, score effectively, have firing lanes that aren't oppressive and go for too long. And, you know, looking at a map and being able to be like, either a melee army or a shooting army could go into this and be quite happy either way. And as I've said before, and I think this is something that people don't acknowledge enough, that change is really the only constant. And I think that change, even sometimes for change's sake itself, is actually still good, because when things stay the same and they stay stale and we solve how to do everything, you know, the best way, that's when you start to hit that burnout. That's when you start to feel like everything's a bit samey. And, you know, some people will swap armies and some people will whatever. But I think that changing up the mission pack is a really, really good move. I think Leviathan was getting to that point where it was a little bit samey and, you know, there wasn't a lot extra to sink your teeth into. And if you're worried about change, I would say give it a chance. Really give it a chance. From having read everything that we just did, I had nothing but a feeling of like, I want to go and play some games. I want to go and play some games, get these missions down on there and see what I can score and see what I can do. Yeah. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you to all my patrons who make all of my videos possible. Wouldn't be able to do this without you, and I certainly wouldn't be considering going full-time without you. If you would like to join them, then head to links in the description. There is my Patreon. There is also my YouTube membership, where you can get access to the Discord, coaching services, a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff, and a lot more. So thank you to everybody who is making this channel work. I will be back to a regular upload schedule, well, pending how much extra depression that I slip into. But I'm going to go and lie down and see if I can actually get to sleep, or if the sweet release of the Void is going to ignore me for a little bit longer. But thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.